David Shemesh is a sound facilitator and a leadership coach. We've been exploring psychedelics together and in groups for over 20 years, and he is my go-to guy when I'm looking for a deep dive while in altered space. I hope I can get you all to join us there, medicine-free, today. Thank you, and welcome, my dear David Shemesh. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much for
Adi,
joining me.
for having me over here.
I'm very excited and honored to have you, both a good friend and a great teacher for many, many years. So we're going to talk today about the worlds of psychedelics. We're going to talk about consciousness. We're going to talk about sound and everything that comes in between. So, in my years of my personal search, and as I've been growing, in this world and really growing both from trying to enrich my brain, and that also means in study, but that also means in the world of psychedelics. That's the place where I can find peace in the knowledge that I gain through study and actually bring it to be in oneness with my body and with my experience in this world. I would love to hear from you as someone that guides people within that realm. What is it like?
First of all, thank you, Adi. I'm truly humbled that you even thought about speaking with me about those issues because I don't know a lot. Well, most of what I know is based on personal experience, and personal experience for one little body comparing what happened in the world right now. It's not a lot to show. But at the same time, I believe in the vastness of the depthness of if each conscious mind has, that it can take us and connect us to everything else that's happening. So in a way, I'm saying I'm not worthy, and in the same breath, I'm saying I'm worthy of everything. So thank you. So just a bit about what I'm doing that connects to this question of yours. I take, for the most part, people on psychedelic experiences in order to be able to give them a first-hand experience of what it means to be a full-fledged human being. I believe that none of us came to this world as a clean slate, and we have to find a way into that clean slate to blur the boundaries between everything that happens around us and one to another. We're all very entangled, and I know the depths that you went into Kabbalah, and you cannot think about quantum entanglement without soul entanglement. And if we're all originated from the same soul, that's what I'm trying to help people see, that we have to remove the veils of the identity that we have created to ourselves in order to realize how one of the same we are all. So that's about what I'm doing. Psychedelic experience, consciousness expanding by removing the boundaries of the identity. Because if one have an identity, you cannot have consciousness expanding.
Right.
And at the end, connecting more to the heart in order to achieve the proper coherence that's needed. And you use the term brain when you talked about expanding your brain. And my understanding, the brain is only one of the tools that the mind has to offer, versus the gut, the heart, the human body, and the work field that's around us, and from there on and on till we reach to the end of the cosmos, if it even exists.
Yeah. For me personally, the heart is where I had to do the most work because, in order to connect to the heart and hear the heart, we have to first let go of all of these walls we have around the heart. Because if you're too busy, or when I was busy protecting my heart, then I also couldn't hear it. The voice was muffled.
I see the brain as the gatekeeper to prevent us from entering
100%.
the present moment.
Always make friends with the bouncer. Don't you know? The bouncer is your best friend.
Well, that's the beginning of the approach, not looking at your brain as your enemy, not looking at your thoughts as your enemies. This is what we do most of the time.
Right.
People all the time trying to quiet their mind, and I'm like, why are you trying to quiet your mind instead of amplifying that and just start liking what you're listening to?
Nice. I like that. Okay, so tell us, please share with us a psychedelic experience from your personal experience that is related to how you view this, the altered space.
Okay. So my first psychedelic experience that truly took me to understand the magnitude of what is that happening. And it took me a long time to reach that because I've been doing psychedelics for many years before I even reached that place. And I've got to this point not using the same modality that I'm using right now to work with people, which is using sound healing, sound meditation, sound bath, any way you want to call it. But it was in Burning Man, fun enough. And I know that a lot of people like to talk about their Burning Man experiences. And as much as I love the connectivity that we all have to offer in one and each other and the communal experiences with psychedelics, this one was all alone. I was driving my bicycle, and that was before electric bikes was a big thing.
When we really had to pedal.
Yes. It was actually our first burn together, 2013.
Woohoo.
And I was driving the bike, and it was my first whiteout in the burn. And I was a very good burner, and I knew that whiteout means you stop driving, you get off the bike, and you wait. Needless to say, it was solo ride that was just having a midday fun ride for myself because I was tripping quite hard. Not to tap on my psychonaut shoulder ego.
Right.
I was heavily dosed.
Right. Heroically dosed, I believe we call it nowadays. Back then in 2013, we still called it heavily dosed.
We call it
nowadays, it's heroically dosed.
Now when I've got a bit older and I learned a bit more, I can call it foolishly dosed.
Yes.
Because I don't know what I was trying to prove myself back then, using those copious amounts. But I was sitting down and there was no music around me, no people. And for those of you who have been to Burning Man, you know that the playa itself looks almost like a human brain sometimes.
Right. That's
with
true.
all those,
Never thought of that.
all those patterns and like those branches that keep spreading around. And I was sitting on the floor, and there was a moment that there was a lot of wind that cleared a lot of dust from the floor, and those patterns revealed to me. And as mentioned before, there was no music, no people around me. And I thought to myself, all those things that make you happy, music, people, food, clothes, none of those things are next to you right now. You're just over by yourself. And I asked myself, can you find happiness right now? Can you truly experience what is happiness? And there was this immense sensation that my whole body was smiling. But it wasn't a smile of joy. It was a smile of dissolvement. I truly felt the whole concept of the I dissolving in front of my conscious eye that has nothing to do with my existence. And I couldn't notice any type of separation between me and the land that I was sitting on, the wind that was blowing against my face and my hair. I just felt one with everything. And happiness was such a minimized word compared to the blissful experience that I was having in that moment. And then there was a comment voice in my head that's like, oh my God, look what's happening. And it kind of snapped me from that place I was in. And I realized, wow, this place does exist. Now get up and try to find a way together without using psychedelics. And that sent me on my longest journey of my life, that moment. That's the year that I almost stopped doing substances almost altogether. For almost many, many years, I was very conscious about the way I was doing things. And less than 3 months after, I found sound, and that's led me into the journey that I am in right now.
Wow, amazing. And how much longer from that moment when you realized that you were back? No, sorry, before I go there, isn't that crazy in those moments when we have our most elevated space and all of a sudden we have that other in our brain, the one that's viewing us from within, and it just snaps us out. For me, I always talk about it. I feel like there's the I, the when I'm experiencing, and there's the me when I'm talking about me. I am this, I am that. Like, if I'm dancing, for example, and then I see myself from the side and I see what I look like when I'm dancing, and then that affects my dancing, and then I forget about that, and then I go back to take to the example from where we were. And I always feel like my true moments of greatness, especially with psychedelics, are when I manage to stay in the space between the two, right? Because when you're in the dissolvement, you were fully in the dissolvement. And when you're in the, wow, look what's happening, you're in the viewer from within your head. But until, like, once you hit true dissolvement, then you immediately start from the outside. But until you hit that fully, you were in the space between them. Your dissolvement was becoming dissolvement, so to say.
So that's very interesting take to look at that. First of all, just based on what you say, we can already recognize that consciousness is not localized. It's not
Right.
something that's just generated in our brain. You can sit over on yourself fully relaxed and just envision yourself in the edge of the room looking upon yourself.
That's true.
Consciousness, and the Kabbalistic back in the days, known to be time travelers or quantum leapers, because
Right.
that's how far they could expand that non-localized consciousness.
Mm.
And there's a state in yoga. This state, and I'm sure it's very familiar to the listeners. It's called samadhi.
Right.
And samadhi is known to be. It's never a state that you get to. It's a state that you fall into. It's a state that you arrive into. And there's a process to get you to that state. And the way that they describe it is, after you did your movement, your breathing, everything, that all the preparatory aspects that one need to do in order to be sitting still without being bothered. And you need to get yourself fully cushioned
Yes.
and make sure that nothing in the physical body would bother you. Then you start with focused attention. And focused attention, the Sanskrit word for that is before focused attention, there's another term, it's called pratyahara, which literally means the withdrawal of the senses.
Okay.
And actually, in our last trip to Ibiza, funny enough,
It
yeah,
says
we're
R
good
because we were
friends.
there
Yeah.
together. It was very fun. And also some
was-
of my most mind expanding moments to this day happened on that trip.
I was laying down with my wife on the grass, and the whole notion of pratyahara got reconstructed for me. And I was a long time meditator, and I've been doing pratyahara properly, knowing how to disengage from the senses in order to achieve a deep state of concentration. But all of a sudden I had a shift. What happened if we, instead of withdrawing of the senses, you actually paying a very close attention to your senses, but inwards.
Like what I feel inwards, like how I feel my blood
means
flowing and how I hear.
your visual cortex has not only to do with visualization within you. The sounds that you hear only has to do with the sounds that you hear within you. The sensations that you feel in, the taste, just the taste, all of those senses just are within you, and you focus on them and let them not to dissolve in you, but you fully submerge yourself into that.
Oh.
And all of a sudden you start to realize there's a limitation to how far my eye can see on the external world.
Right.
The internal world can only happen with self-limiting. I'm not bounded to the same physical limitation that I have externally, the same way that I have internally.
Right.
And I've realized this is all barriers that's happening within. And if someone that knows, people like to let go, I call it open the gates.
Right.
Within, in order to be able to keep penetrate reality the way it is. Magic can happen. And this is the first time I actually realized that the Taoist concept, the Taoism, they call something called the gateless gate. That all those gates that I was thinking that I would need to pass in order to allow myself to get in, even those were self-created.
Right.
I was the one that placed in the gates over there because of the lack of self-realization of what I'm truly am. And when I'm using the word I for the lack of the better word, because when I'm using the word I, even that puts another gate over there. But self-realization, it's not the realizing what the I is, it's the realizing the self that doesn't never exist. It's always been created in this every given moment.
Oh, so I like it. It's like when we talk about, the divinity is actually there's the void that manifests as the one. And when we think about a God, or when we think about not the man-made God, but still the high God, the divinity that has sort of, even if it's just a structure of love or a structure of giving, but it has any sort of positive attachment to it, then that's already the manifestation of the one. It's not the void itself. And so in your analogy, in our as above, so below, when we take it into the self, is already the one, which is a manifestation of what actually is the energy that is within me.
It's a manifestation, but at the same time, it's a manifestation that's been created right here and right now.
Yes, of course. It's locked into the sensation of time and of presence and of being alive, of course.
And I think this is the beautiful thing about this illusion that we're all experiencing and we call self and we call life, because without this beautiful illusion, we wouldn't be able to experience one another. We wouldn't be able to experience the joy of food, the joy of making love to our partners, the joy of playing with our kids, the joy of smelling the beautiful spring that hopefully will come in a few months from now.
Well,
Because it is getting cold in New York right now.
lovely. So nice to come from Miami to here. Well, I'm definitely putting this as a goal to myself because I've experienced what you've spoken about before, one sense at a time. I've heard inwards, I've seen inwards. I've never even dared to think about trying to do them all at once. I've felt inwards once on a psychedelic experience, and I remember that being amazing. Feeling like I was feeling the inside of my nerves, and through that, being able to feel everywhere that my nerves go through my body. But to do that feeling while I'm also hearing inwards and seeing inwards, this sounds very exciting.
But I think there's a great mechanism into that. And if the listener would like to indulge themselves in something, and even you, if you'd like to enjoy yourself with something, you just close your eyes for a moment. So there's always spaces that happen within us. There's the breath that has 4 parts. There's the inhale, the retention, the exhale, and the retention. So it's very hard to focus on those places when you're exhaling or inhaling, because your body is actually doing something right now.
Right.
And when the retention between the exhale and the inhale, there's a lot that's happening as well. Oxygen becomes carbon dioxide, ATP, and all those things that's happening. There's a lot of alchemy that's happening. But there's in the exhale, after the exhale, there is this retention that's happening over there. And that retention, it's actually the emptiest that we can be in that moment. They actually have a name for that. It's called shunya. Shunya in Sanskrit means emptiness or empty space, but it's not emptiness as we think of emptiness. It's the emptiness opportunity to fill up a void, to fill up an open space. And in that space, the invitation can come. So if you take a deep breath in, you hold for a moment, and then you exhale, and you hold, and just lay your attention to your left toe for a moment. Then you inhale again, hold, and you exhale, and hold, and you lay your attention on your right toe. Just open your eyes. This was a very silly exercise, but you can feel energy shifts.
Yes.
All the way to the toe and from one side to another.
And also after I had my attention on my left toe, when I did the inhale that was following that, it felt like the air was coming in from my left toe. It really felt like that's where the inhale was happening as I was shifting through my body.
This is how insanely powerful our intentional mind can become. In Buddhism, they have something that's called the healing blue light. They're literally teaching you when you have some type of interference with the physical body, how to breathe in blue light and to redirect it where it's needed in your body. in order to help it heal. It's ancient technology that we're not utilizing enough this day.
Right.
But we all know how to do it for each other. When somebody feels anxious, we tell each other, take a deep breath.
Right.
We already know already. Nobody teaches you psychology now to relax people, but it's something that inherently we are aware of it.
I understand it's going to work. Amazing. So, nowadays there's a lot of people are being exposed to the world of psychedelics, and it's growing, and it's also practiced in safer environments, right? Because it's practiced by people who are knowledge and doing it from a place of healing. But there's still a lot of beginners out there. And I would like you to, if you could give us a little explanation for the beginner, talk for a moment about what it means, what set and settings actually mean for people in their lives, and then maybe what's a good place to start. How would you start the course? And I would like you to go through two different types, because there is the people who are seeking to come because they're looking to heal, whether it's a traumatic experience from their youth, or whether it's a toxic behavior pattern that they have right now and they are looking to heal. And separately to that, talk about people who want to come into this process because they're looking to know themselves better and to connect more with their inner self.
Thank you. Very good question. So, set and setting, it's a term that's been used, it's been coined since the 60s already by Tim Tiller and many others about doing psychedelic work. Set has anything to do with the internal world of the person,
Right.
the way you show up, the way you prepare yourself for that, the calmness of your mind, the ability to surrender, to let go, the trust that you give in the space. The setting has to do with your external surrounding.
Right.
External surrounding, light, scent, temperature, the knowledge and capabilities and experience of the guide itself, the supplements that have been provided, self-source, potent enough to do the work that they needed, the sound and the music that's being played, the bed that you lay on, the eye mask that you cover, everything has to do with the setting. If right now you're laying down, but the rubber on the eye mask is way too tight, you're going to be bothered during the journey. You're going to want to take it off because it's bothering you. So you want to think about all those things to the finest and smallest detail. It's not because God is in the details, comfort is in the detail, and you want to be comfortable enough to be able to allow yourself to do the work that you need to do. But there's another word that needs to be added to that.
Hmm.
And this word is not been spoken enough. This word has to do, and again, some people would want to put it under the under the umbrella of a set, but I think it has to do with something completely different. And that's word that I want setting and why.
Mm. Yes, I can see what you're saying about people wanting to do it with set, because when I do my preparation for set, that's usually what I start with, right? What is my intentionality? What am I coming in to this ceremony with? But
And just to answer that, me reading, because I would like to answer your question to the fullest.
yes,
Why the two reasons that
the
people
two
are doing
different
that.
people.
Most people when they write in their intentions, because this is one of the things they're asking to do, to journal about their intentions and
Right.
what we do if. The majority of the time, what people answer in this question has to do about healing. Even if they're doing it for entheogenic purposes, and those considered to be LSD, mescaline, mushrooms, are considered to be entheogenic drugs. That means God revealing.
Right.
Even those people that write in that, I like to ask them the question, let's say after you heal yourself, after you feel good, after you relieved of all of your trauma, still why you're doing it?
Hmm.
What you going to do after that? After you're so good, what you going to do with that?
Hmm.
And I would like to point at questions of why to achieve a space of inner, deeper contemplation that has nothing to do with the narratives that brought you into that space from the very beginning. Because regardless if you're coming from a place of healing or from a place of exploration for divinity, if you keep coming from that, from the sense of there's a place I want to get into, something that I would like to achieve, you're still gonna put yourself in a perpetual state of suffering.
Right.
See, suffering then started with Freud,
Right.
right? It then started when we started talking about it. It started way before that. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, started to talk about removing suffering 2,500 years ago and tools to
Yes.
achieve that. This psychology of relieving suffering from one's consciousness is something that's been studied for a very long time. When we're thinking about the West, we're still in our diapers when we think about the conscious mind.
Well, because we're still not comfortable with suffering in the West. With the
And
West, it's about how to fix the suffering, not how
that's
to grow
exactly
from the
and
suffering.
that's exactly what I'm trying to get into. When somebody enters to this work from the understanding, I want to fix something that is broken,
Right.
is missing the point. Because as long as somebody will not willing to accept the fact that he is the creator within, he's not gonna enhance his ability to respond to whatever is gonna happen within him, because he's still gonna enter a victim mindset within himself based on X, Y, Z. And that means, wait, right now I resolved that thing from the past. That means I forgive, then I showed compassion, and all those things, I resolved it. That's not the last thing that happened in your past. After you think that you heal that, this thing is going to show up. This thing that is going to show up. This thing that is going to show up. So the way that I address this thing, I tell myself, I don't want to teach people recipes. I want to teach people how to cook. When you teach somebody about cooking techniques, he can just take ingredients and cook whatever he wants within himself. So I address that place from like, let's say that there's nothing, you're not broken. There's nothing to heal. Then what you going to do with yourself? You know, realizing people are in shambles
Right.
because they're not even willing to think of themselves of something that doesn't need to be fixed.
Right.
Let's take, for example, the world of
It's a very accessible way to find purpose also. Now I'm working on this
completely.
and I'll work on that. Now I'm working on that. And, you know, the other really big thing that you touch about when you talk about accepting that you are not something that needs to be fixed is the whole world of self-love, which is a whole other, like, you know, can of worms. Like, I need to accept myself as I am. That's like, I don't even want to talk about it.
If you take any old scriptures from the Abrahamic religions, the Western philosophy of religion, to the Eastern traditions, Eastern philosophies, in no place you're going to find the term self-love.
Really? Not even in Jesus Christ talking and stuff like, no? He was just about loving the other. Okay.
Loving the other
Loving the other.
and loving God. There was never mention of self-love.
Wow. So this is a creation of our new generation? Look at us, such good students,
Self-obsession.
taking it to the next level. Oh,
When-
self-obsession
when,
is also
when you have
amazing.
so
Look at
much
it.
self-obsession, no wonder you're going to be in a perpetual state of suffering. There's way too much of self-obsession.
Right. So now we need to turn the love inwards to heal the suffering and the self-obsession so we can work from a place where we can truly love the other, right? When you talk about, I'll take it back to the classic, right? The love thy neighbor as thyself, which takes for granted that you know how to love thyself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Oh, I found some talk of self-love. There you go. That always existed.
ואהבת לרעך כמוך.
Kamocha also talks about that.
Or love the neighbor like you love thyself. Has nothing to do with self-love.
Because they teach in Kabbalah, they teach us that the structure of you need to know the path of how to love yourself properly, and from that you will get the structure
Because
of how to love your neighbor.
otherwise you call it dependency. Right? If you just love other people, you just make it this love that type of dependency. But this type of love has nothing to do with it.
Interesting.
What does it mean? ואהבת לרעך כמוך?
Okay, which is how we say in Hebrew, love
Which
thy
is-
neighbor as thyself. Yes.
It means that if right now you're hungry and you know that you have to feed yourself, you know that you have to feed the other one. If right now you're cold, that means the other person is cold, you know that you need to cover him as well. ואהבת לרעך כמוך, it's actually one of the deepest studies of what it means to cultivate compassion to the highest level. That means that even if it will come on the expense of you, this is how much you're supposed to love them. Compassion, for example, if you take Buddhism, there's something called the Brahma Viharas, the unmeasurables. There are 4 of them. Compassion is one of them. That means that there is no limit of how much compassionate you can become.
Right.
So if you think of love the way we think love, because when you think about love, that means that love is directed.
Well, it's a circle. It's directed and it returns, right? It's an energy. It moves.
Yes, and what ואהבת לרעך כמוך is supposed to mean, that love is supposed to be boundless.
Right. So love is a place. The difference between love is a flow to love is a place.
Love is an energy field that you tap into. And that means kamocha can become to be even this that I'm sitting on. Even this, because this is a tool of service.
Yes.
That means I love this chair for supporting me right now.
I feel love for the chair.
Right? I love this clothes that I'm wearing on me right now because, and then after that, I'm start to think about the people that tailor this clothing for me. The trees that, or the cotton field, whatever that made this come. All of those things will let me love the soil that the trees was going on.
Yes.
This interdependent relationship that's keep happening. When you start teaching yourself to think like that, you're always going to come back to the source, that energy field that gives a rise, life to everything for it to happen. And therefore, ואהבת לרעך כמוך, this tool of compassion, this tool of awareness, energy field, is actually the deepest connection that one can have to God. Because then you start to see God in everything.
God bless. God bless. I feel it. Okay, great. So in your experience, what have you seen that brings seekers more, really? Is it healing or is it the search for deeper connection or the search for the divine?
I can tell you that about at least 80% of the people that, let's call it, sat under my gong.
Yes.
The response after the journey was, it was exactly the opposite what I was hoping to find.
The opposite of what I was
exactly
hoping to find?
Exactly what I needed.
Opa.
Because we cannot help without using the brain the way that we think the brain was designed.
Yes.
And the way that we think that the brain was designed, I'm sure you're aware of that, but the brain cannot help itself but predicting the future all the time.
Yes. It's a safety mechanism. The brain is trying to protect us. It's another survival mode.
That comes from our oldest part of our brain, the reptilian brain.
Yes.
And it's going to keep generating that all the time. While you're predicting the future, you can never be present in the present moment. You can never be in your body. What you call the feeling body, if you feel anxious right now, it's not the feeling body that you're feeling. It's not
the feeling body that I'm feeling. What do you mean? When I'm feeling anxious, because I'm feeling the future, because I'm anxious about something that's in the future. I see, but then I breathe into my body in the present and I become calm and
that's the feeling body.
Okay.
The feeling body itself can generate energy enough to immerse itself in the present moment. The present moment, as long as you're not starving right now, can be nothing but blissful if you know how to tap to that energy.
Right.
But if you're predicting about, wait, I'm present right now, but I know that I just posted and I have to check how many likes I just got. How can be blissful in this present moment?
Right.
There is the engagement that keep happening when people are coming to journeys like that, thinking that they're going to fix something in order to become something that they wish to be, versus realizing that the person that put the obstacle there from the very beginning is the same person that you're trying to heal. And as long as you're not going to start working on yourself from the very beginning, realizing, oh, I can do this and achieve this for myself without going all the way to the outer space. Outer space means altered state that who knows what's going to happen over there.
Yes.
The
Great good
work,
things.
a lot of people like to say the work starts in the integration. Integration meaning what happens after we finish journeys.
Yes.
I like to say no. The work starts right now.
Oh yeah.
When you realize that you think about now, the preparation, your breakfast, the way you go in the morning and order your coffee, the way you get into your car, your response when somebody's cut you off on the street while they're driving.
When you're on the way to do ceremony work, even the work, even in how I present it to my mom, that I won't be available because I'm going to do this or that for the rest of the day, is for me always a big part of
I give you an
getting
example.
into the
I give you an
space.
example. There's something inside us that people like to call the default mode network, which is basically it's something that sits in the frontal cortex, and that's kind of what people say your identity resides. It's default mode network is literally the mechanism of your repetition thoughts, behaviors that your body is using in order to conserve energy. As you guys know, our brain is about 3 pounds. And it's one of the
Right.
laziest parts in our body.
Well, even while being lazy, quote unquote, it takes a quarter of the energy that our body produces all the
Exactly.
time. So, you know,
25 to 30%.
yeah,
But that's because we need a lot in order to function. But the thing that we're lazy about, it's not our thoughts.
right.
We're lazy about changing the way that
New
we think.
thoughts. Yes, because
Not new thoughts.
creating new
Not new
neural
thoughts,
pathways.
new neural pathways.
Right.
It's easy to have new
Okay,
thoughts
figured
when
it out.
they're using the same pathways.
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
It's harder to start thinking differently about things.
Right.
When people tell you, oh, think positive, think positive, think positive, they're not teaching you to be woo-woo and live on la la land. They tell you, oh, start creating new brand secretary in order for you to be able to experience life differently.
Right.
You're a mirror of everything that happens within you. When we talk about as within, so without, it's not about whatever happens outside happens inside.
It's the other way around.
It's the other way around. You can come right now to see cloudy skies, rain, and be like, oh shit, my day's ruined. Or you're going to think about the great tomatoes you're going to have in 2 weeks from now. It's the same reality.
Yes.
The perspective is the one that changes.
100%.
Think about all the farmers that are going to be happy, the kids that get to jump with their rain boots on the little puddles of water. There is so much beauty, even in sickness and disease. There's a lot of beauty. There's nothing more beautiful than us being shown our mortality every once in a while. There's great beauty into that.
Right. As harsh as it can be. It's really, these are really crazy times to be living in the world right now.
And again, it has to do with our perspective from our own identities right now.
Right. Which is a very confused place, which actually leads me perfectly to my next question. So we're meeting our consciousness more and more nowadays. We're meeting it in the spiritual practices we're doing, in the physical practices we're doing. We're meeting it in art and in movies because people are trying to integrate their experiences into how we're doing.
Technology.
And we may or may not exactly also be meeting it in AI. Where do you think we're going with this consciousness movement?
Well, consciousness, as you know, it's one of the most researched about concepts that haven't been started now. It started thousands of years ago.
Yes. It's what all the old books are about, all the philosophers, all the... some mathematics.
There is
in ancient Rome, math and consciousness.
and when you take yogic philosophy, consciousness, it's something that pre-exists.
Right.
And at the same time, it cannot exist without a mind
to experience it. Boom.
So therefore, consciousness is a two-way street. Same as sound. Sound doesn't exist. What we call sound is merely air molecules vibrating in open space. Sounds can only exist the moment it gets into an ear canal taps in an auditory cortex and gets translated to sound within us.
Right.
Within us. Sound, air molecules, vibrating air molecules need to have conscious being in order to perceive sound, in order for sound to exist.
Right.
The vibratory aspect of what we call consciousness exists regardless to us.
Right.
What we do with consciousness is different. We take consciousness and develop it. Our knowledge these days, can you agree with me? Let's take a D, for example.
Okay.
I'm going to do something very rude and I'm going to ask
Just
you.
bring her back when you're done, okay?
I'm going to do something very rude and I'm going to ask Adi for her age. How old are you, Adi, now?
43. I'm not rude at
43.
all. I'm proud of every one of those days that brought me here. I earned each one of them with my readiness and my waking up in the morning and my being alive.
Those are not wrinkles, those are fighting scars.
100%. Medals.
So I think it's safe to say that, at least for a certain extent, that Adi of 43 years old is a bit wiser and smarter than the 33 years old Adi.
Amen.
Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Upon? And that 33 years old Adi is probably a bit wiser and smarter than the 23 years old.
God
Agreed?
bless.
But most of the chances that none of those Adis that I mentioned were smarter or wiser than 16 years old Adi. She was probably the smartest and wiser, at least in her perception.
At least in her perception, yes. Very confident.
And
No questions asked.
And this 43-year-olds of Adi, just based on this equation that we just did, needless to say, the 53 years old of Adi will be probably wiser and smarter. Agreed?
Right. 100%.
And it's keep happening and happening and happening. Now, it's not like the intelligence and the knowledge that you have right now just showed up in the world. Agreed?
Agreed.
A lot of this knowledge and intelligence was there already. We're not talking about technology right now.
Okay.
All of these things that you got also, a lot of this come from inherent DNA structure that you have within you and your lineage. Some things you know just because you know. You have no idea where it's coming from.
Right.
What we think about consciousness and knowledge, all you're talking about right now is sensitivity and receptivity to information to flow into you.
Mm-hmm.
Sensitivity and the receptivity that was extremely narrowed in your teenage years.
Right.
And more something that opened up inside of you to allow this flow of information, flow of knowledge. And just because the boundaries of this identity that you call Adi kept blurring and blurring and blurring. There's many smart, extremely intelligent people in this world that the level of understanding consciousness is very limited.
Yes.
And vice versa. There's many people that very expanded consciousness, but with mechanical, technological knowledge is very limited. There was always dance between the people that came from the earthly mechanical knowledge and the spiritual intelligence of this world. They're always somehow made together. This is the first time in history that we see all of those worlds emerging into one. We never saw this type of collision that's happening. They're always separate worlds. The king always wanted their spiritual advisors, but the king never tried to be
spiritual himself.
Right. And in the times that they did dare to happen, the kingdom got distracted. Almost always.
Very interesting. But now our kingdoms of high-tech and technology companies...
Those cannot be distracted anymore. Those are just becoming stronger.
And the leaders are becoming more and more spiritual and more open.
I believe there is something that's called the collective unconscious. It has to do with the soul entanglement that we all experience, and something that strives us to get into them. But for some reason, the collective unconscious thinks that if we're going to get comfort, if we're going to get enough easiness into our day-to-day life, somehow we're going to get a bit more conscious. Somehow we're going to get a bit more spiritual. Sometimes we're going to get closer to our divinity within.
And you think the collective unconsciousness is not interested in a movement towards higher consciousness?
I think it's extremely, but I think the way to try to achieve it is not the right one. Because what is happening, think how much technology we have right now in the world that's supposed to prevent us from working so hard.
Right.
But yet, in no other time in history, people who are working so many hours a day and spend so much time away from their families.
Right.
The
It's true.
technology is there. The operating system that operates the technology, our conscious mind, is still
Yes.
not there. Because we're still
Mm.
entering that from the egoic structure of the mind in order to achieve that. When I took this example earlier, that thing that keep expanding is the same idea of the vessel that they talk about in Kabbalah, expanding the vessel in order to receive light that pours in.
Right.
Right now, the vessel of technology that's keep opening, it's not we call it in Hebrew clicky bullet. It's not the right type of vessel in order for the right type of consciousness, for the right type of light to pour into.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're working on our vessels,
We're working, but
but
if you give
it's
right,
hard because they say in Kabbalah that the number one tool. There are a few different ways to enlarge a vessel, but the number one tool to enlarge your vessel is actually restriction. And restriction is one of those things that as a society we're moving further and further away from, because we actually
exactly.
have so many ways to get to connect and to immediate gratification, and so many ways to feel something right away, to get excited right away, and to do something and to see the result of it right away, whether it's buying something on Amazon and having it immediately arrive at house or at your house, or any other
And
ways of
because we don't
connecting.
have the restrictions around the technology that we have right now, we actually entering a greater deal of suffering than the easement and the openness that is supposed to give us soul. I give you an example. The same knife can be used differently in the hands of a thief or the hands of a surgeon,
Right.
but it's the same knife,
Right.
right? Right now, we have companies that run in those technologies with a certain interest in mind,
Yes.
not necessarily to expand consciousness.
Well, there are companies, that's their survival mechanism,
Exactly,
right?
and it's part of their
They need to
it's
grow and
part of their
take over.
manifesto.
Yes.
But the manifesto can stay the same. But if part of their manifesto is to allow a state of connectivity, truly, what that means right now? It means that right now there is 3 hours every day that there is no social media access for people.
Right.
For example, 1 day a week, just talking about ancient technology,
Yes.
that nobody can connect to social media.
That would be amazing.
Or a movement of the social media, those pioneers that everybody's going to plant trees together. Things that actually can make a real difference in people's lives.
Right.
If people think Yuval Noah Harari, that I'm sure that you know of.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken,
his
I might be
lectures.
mistaken about that. He said, his in opinion, AI has 75% chance or 70% chance to bring destruction to humankind and 30% of making it the best thing there is.
I never heard this specific one of his, but I do know that he had some worries regarding AI, and he's been
And I would say for
vociferous about
any one
them.
of us as human being, if you tell somebody, unless you're extremely desperate,
Right.
win $5 million, there's 30% that you're going to die trying to do that versus 70% of your survival rate. I think it's fair to say that the majority of the world will not going to take it. They will not
For
gonna
30% of going to die? No, flipped. 70% chance you're going to die.
70%, yes,
70%
exactly.
chance you're going to die if you get these $5 million, and 30% that you
The
live.
majority of the people will say no.
Yes. No,
leave me
you know
alone.
what? My life is okay. Actually, never mind. I'm happy with what I have.
And it feels like we're running right now, engaging into this thing when he's not a scientist, Yuval, but he has a fair point over there. Because we can already see how
Right.
critical thinking, the thing that we pride ourselves so much having compared to the rest of the species out there, is slowly disappearing.
Yes.
There's less and less discernment. There is less and less knowing what is that I'm feeling versus you guys can check it for yourself, but people are just starting to report that actually the world of psychology is starting to disappear slowly because people are usually are actually using AI as a personal therapist.
Yes, they are more and more, and I know
More and more.
a
And
few startups that do that. And it's really a shame because AI could be channeled for good. And we know we have people that talk about, we have people that also know what would be the correct path to do it. But it would start going back to what we were saying before about restrictions with limiting the access that AI has and that we have to
Google
AI
just started
by a lot.
a notepad that will give you it will give you the answers. It's AI, but it will give you the answers only based on the information that you feed in it. That means
Oh,
that if you
interesting.
feed this certain articles, certain books, certain this, things that know that have been verified, controlled, known to be truth, etc., 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 and this way it shoots the information, that's a different world. The world of AI right now.
But it is a different world, but also again you have new dangers of limiting because it's a different world, but now you can only feed things that align with your political thought and with your political views, and then your Google becomes another like
I,
social media algorithm
I
that is
completely,
only
I completely
controlled by
I
what you're
completely agree
interested
with you.
in.
That's why I think that that AI should be used as in certain ways, but the way that right now AI is designed, it can create designs, it can create music, it can
Yes,
create poetry. We take in the things that connect us to our soul. If right now I'm thinking about sending a love prompt to a girl I just met, and I send AI, that means I'm less and less connect to my feelings. That it means that I'm less and less listening to the way that I'm thinking and what is that's happening within me.
right. And
We
then you're
actually,
going back to
we
not being
actually,
able to lower the walls
not
and
only
creating
that,
separation.
what is happening, we becoming to be the avatars of ourselves. They were already the avatar of the I. Now there's
Right.
another A in front of the I, and we're going to completely be disconnected from what it is. Remember, almost every person that comes towards a psychedelic journey, the thing that is suffering the most of is disconnection, either connected to his own self or
Right.
connected to others. That's what depression is. That's what many of the psychological difficulties are. I'm not saying there's not serious illnesses out there. I work with a lot of CPTSD people and brain freezing imagery of past events is a real thing that we need to find the proper support in order to support those people to experiencing those things. But the majority of the people, I'm sorry to say that it might sound harsh, the suffering is self-created.
Yes.
And it's something that we need to say that in society, not from a deep masculine authoritarian role, or exactly in the opposite, from this compassionate, loving, feminine, motherly role. Because the same way that your body right now is throwing a tantrum, is on the floor right now.
Yes.
And you know, as a mother, to teach yourself, I know that all I want to do right now is to pick them up and hug them and tell them it's going to be okay. But if they're not going to learn how to pick themselves up, they're never going to learn how to do it for themselves.
Right.
The same way that you have to learn how to pick up the inner child that throws a tantrum inside and teach them how to pick up inside within yourself and not waiting to be served by others. AI, as we see it right now in humanity right now, we're thinking that this is going to resolve my problems within. That also, when you stop investigating by yourself, it means that you don't teach yourself how to inner contemplate. If you don't know how to contemplate, that means you cannot reach deep inside. If you don't know how to reach deep inside, you will never find out what was buried that holds the key to connect you to what was missing. That means that spark of the soul that's supposed to connect you to the quantum field or quantum
The
entanglement of the
mission that
soul.
my soul, my specific personal soul came with to this world for this lifetime.
Exactly.
The reason that I was supposed to express
So
myself
not only
this
that
way,
your personal tikkun is not being worked on, the tikkun olam is not being worked on also.
which is the process that that we as a civilization are supposed to go through in order to be able to bring heaven unto earth, right? It's not about life in the next manifestation of life. It's about actually having the heaven experience here in this physical realm and to reach it.
Exactly.
Now.
And
Now.
And the prophecy of the Messiah on the white horse, white donkey, whatever it is,
donkey.
We're not gonna
in a starship shaped like a 3-dimensional Star of David, which you should know about.
Yeah.
David.
But we somehow looking at AI as that Messiah,
right.
even if we're not talking about it right now. This is how we started addressing it.
Yes, and this is our hope. If AI will be good, then that's what AI will do.
Exactly.
It will deliver us into this next phase of humanity.
This is the way that people were controlled and led to believe that whatever the government, whoever is doing to them, it's all worth it because it's all part of the cause. We're all going to be saved one day because of that. And ship that been led to.
Okay.
So holding it for a moment and say, wait a second. How come this person right now sent me email, text, whatever it is, thoughtful, lovingly, and I'm thinking about answering him without giving him my couple of minutes that I properly need to.
Right.
It means that with the moment you start to break energy currency, the right type of energy exchange that's needed to give in, the significance of what this moment requires from you, I believe that this type of way of living is going to drag us into a deeper levels of suffering. And I challenge everybody to notice how marvelous you start noticing AI has become. Just notice how much importance and beauty and state of awe you're giving it. And how much from that, the state of awe, the beauty, the amazement of everything happening around you and inside of you is slowly being diminished and disappearing.
Right.
AI is not magic. This is not a real magic show. Human existence, life, the world around us, everything that's happening all the time, creation, that's the beauty, that's the magic. And if we disconnect from that magic, seeing that beauty everywhere around us, and that's become to be what become to be significance, you're missing what you're here for.
Amen. Okay. And from this very serious topic, I want to take us into what we're here for. I would love to learn more from you about sound and sound healing, sound meditation, sound therapy. But first, I want to talk about what happens to the consciousness. I know you were exposed to a lot of very serious, actually scientific researches that were done at the topic. Can you share with us what happens to our consciousness, to our mind, to our body when we're exposed to sound?
Well, of course. Sound, like everything else, we cannot know this existence without vibration. Everything is vibratory effect. What sound does, sound itself, when we listen to compose music, we expose ourselves to dogma, to some type of a teaching. If right now I'm going to listen to a piece in a minor key, I know that right now I'm exposing myself to something that's supposed to take me more into melancholic setting, melancholic feeling. If I'm going to listen to something majoric, a bit more happy, cheery, and the way that the music, the notes are composed with the dynamics, with the space in between, XYZ will happen within me, listening to it.
Right.
The sound work itself that we working with, using instruments like gong, Himalayan singing bowls, chimes, didgeridoo, which I'm not myself using, but a lot of do, and it's a very powerful instrument, one of the ancient ones, drum, shofar, conch shell, all of those things were been here from the dawn of time. We always strived for sound. We know right now from the world of neuroscience that not only that it diminishes the activation in the frontal cortex, but there's a lot of coherence that happens between the left and right hemisphere.
Just to explain for a second, diminishing the activation in the frontal cortex, you mean it diminishes the paradigms or the old thought patterns that we've already inhibited ourselves with and adopted at early ages, and by doing that lets us create new neural pathways, okay, and then continue into the
thinking mind at large.
Right.
It regulates our vagus nerve. That means that we allow ourselves to be more in sympathetic nervous system. It supports our heart rate variability, which is extremely important to our healing mechanism that's happening in our system. But more than anything, and all those things helping us to blur the lines between the sound that is being played to the one that perceives the sound. And there's almost a state of non-dual state when you immerse yourself in this level of experience. So, and from that place, let's play again, for example. Okay?
Okay.
We are both from the same generation. We used to love a great artist back in the days called Britney Spears. Right now, if I ask you to close your eyes and play the song in your head, Hit Me Baby One More Time, you can play it easily.
Right.
If I'll tell you right now, raise the volume up inside of your head, you can do it easily. If I will ask you right now, play with your voice of Britney Spears, do it cappella without music in the background, you can do it easily.
I'm hearing it right now.
Sound doesn't just exist externally, it can be created within. Sound is one of the sources of the way that we create reality within. For you, you cannot create reality, and I know how well spoken you are, without using words.
Right.
What happens to the state of mind before words were created? Is an infant that comes into the world before the age of about 2, before they start speaking, are they not having an experience?
100%.
How are they having their experience? Images, feelings, patterns. There were ages, millennia of people, same flesh and blood, walking on this planet before the language came into life.
Right.
Right? There's many, almost every tradition has a story where language, science, music, and knowledge came from.
Yes.
For the Jewish tradition, for example, it's Enoch, Hanoch,
Yes.
the 7th generation after Adam.
Well, no, but we have Hanoch, and we have even the earlier story of Adam naming all the animals in the Garden of Eden, right? Giving things names, giving things structure.
That's from a Kabbalistic,
That's from a mystical from a Kabbalistic philosophy. Point of view. Afterwards, we have Enoch.
In Egyptian technology, knowledge, for example, they call it Ora. All those people Hanoch, Ora, they consider this deity. It's called Metatron, which is one of the angels. That within this angel, I don't know if you ever saw the Metatron mandala, but it's something that has dimensions in it. All this knowledge, all this language that we have given, all this sound that we are given, has been used as a tool to enter deeper dimensions within ourselves. And so the first way that you look at that, or I'm looking at sound meditation, those instruments being played, is something that's quieting the mind, regulating my nervous system, and helping me enter a deep state of relaxation. But if used correctly, it can actually be one of the deepest meditative tools. There's a study in the Hatha Yoga Pradikapa talking about the sages, the yogis, listening to internal sound until it activates a sound within themselves. And they said that this sound cannot be shared and cannot be heard. They literally call it
listening to internal sound. I need explanation. Listening to external sound until it activates a sound within themselves. Okay.
Which is kind of thing that what happens to us also. We keep entering a deep state, deep state. And as long as you're not commenting to yourself, what is that you're experiencing, the same way that I told you at the beginning of the story of what happened to me, you can keep diving into that state until you reach to that state, the one that I failed to mention earlier when I talked about, which is a state of samadhi.
Right.
That state that you dissolve and become to be one with everything.
It's hard though. It takes a lot of letting go. I remember in my first ever ayahuasca experience, I had a moment of fear when I realized that I cannot talk to myself about what I was experiencing. And you did say it true. I'm a very verbal person, and my connection to words is a very strong part of how I validate my experience. And when I felt that I was feeling things and seeing things faster than I can communicate, and the size and the awesomeness of the things, not awesome as in cool, just in sheer size of how much awe it was evoking inside of me, of the things that I was seeing, it left me not able to verbally communicate with myself about this in my head. And I was wondering if I'm missing out on some of the experience, because I can't, how will I know what I experienced if I don't even know it, if I have no words for it while I'm in it. But then I relax.
And a lot of that happens is because we think that if we're not going to be able to explain and verbalize that to ourselves, we're not going to have the explanation, we're not going to miss on the knowledge.
Right.
What I was trying to say a lot earlier is that intelligence and knowledge is not something that is embedded only with us. There's another knowledge field. Right now, this knowledge field might gonna sound a bit woo-woo, but this knowledge thing in Sanskrit is called Akash. You can call it Akash, you can call
Okay.
it light, you can call it awe.
Mm.
It's that energy.
I didn't know that name, Akash.
And that energy, in the moment that vessel expands, knowledge enters. When you start to dissolve the veils of your limitations, that knowledge all of a sudden pours in. All of a sudden you realize you know things you're not supposed to know. And maybe you don't have the language for them. But you know, you're a mother of two.
Yes.
There's a lot more knowledge that you received once you become to be a mother intuitively. Just from you becoming a mother. Where this knowledge come from? It's a knowledge that you managed to tap into based on your experience and just poured into you. If you close yourself for the experience of a mother, reject your kids, not all of a sudden this knowledge would close itself to you.
Right.
It's not because this knowledge is not there, it's because your field of perception, your energetic field was closed into it. The same thing that we played with your 2 toes earlier can be done with sound. If you lay down here and just let your sound come to you and just relax with that, and that's one thing. If you direct your attention to the sound, following the sound, listening to the sound deeply, all of a sudden you will see that the sound allows you to follow it. And the sound follows the same patterns that the world was created with. The harmonic series, the beautiful architecture that you see, everything that makes you be in a state of awe. It's all built on mathematical ratios, on geometry, that we are part of that creation, the world around us in that creation, and most of the architecture and the music that we try to build are part of this nature. This is what we gravitate to. Just by default, we don't even understand why we gravitate into that. But deep inside, we want to come close to the source of creation without even understanding why. We are so obsessed
on all levels, right? Also spiritually, it's all yearning for the light. It's all yearning to be back to this experience of oneness.
There's a great writer, he was a psychiatrist back in the days, in the name of Viktor E. Frankl, Holocaust survivor, wrote the fabulous book, A Man's Search of a Meaning. He wrote that book from that conscious mind of the person that survived the Holocaust and came into the world and gave the world that gift. But when you search deep enough, you understand that even that search for meaning, it's another layer of doing that's trying to give justification for something deeper that is yearning, that has nothing to do with meaning. The reason that we resonate with each other, for example, is because of the type of harmony that comes out of us when we come together. The reason that some people, you come to them, next to them, and immediately you feel some type of like stay away is because of the disharmony that happens over there. There's a way that people are coming together and they feel for no reason chemistry, and for some people, lack of chemistry. We are vibrating on a certain energetic field. And that energetic field has to do with the way that the self-work that is done on yourself and the amount of openness. Now, let's say right now, you know those wheels that fit into each other in order to move one another?
Oh, yes. What we have inside the inside workings of a clock, for example, exactly. And I forgot the word in English for them now too.
Exactly.
Cogwheels.
Cogwheels. You need one to fit another in order to be able to move it.
Right.
Right. If it's going to be too small, too narrow, they're going to damage each other. Right. If it's going to be too small, they're not going to be able to move in. Part of your spiritual work that you do with yourself is that your wheels, I think they have an invention like that right now, that your wheels are actually made of tiny little metal strings that no matter which wheel meets you, it pushes all of them and it fits into you perfectly and just keep rolling with you and harmonizing with you. I'm giving this type of visual metaphor in order to understand what spiritual work does for you.
Right.
When you come when somebody comes to you right now and you keep telling to yourself, I'm triggered by this person, I don't like the way this person look, he's too aggressive for me, this, that means that you haven't done enough work on yourself, and you allow yourself to be bothered by that person.
Yes.
When you allow yourself to be loving and open to whoever is coming with you, that means everything can fit in you. That's great work that teachers, why people feel I want to be close to this teacher or to this person, because they feel, oh, this person makes me feel that
Right.
no matter how I come with him, I feel like I can harmonize with this person. But then something happens. We meet that person, we encounter enough time with him. And all of a sudden, we feel that those wheels that fitted so perfectly with each other before, they're not running as smoothly before.
Yes.
Where this disturbance is coming from?
We all know the feeling. Okay.
It's a question that you're not supposed to ask yourself about the other person.
Supposed to ask ourselves about me. What
Yes.
has changed in me that now I can no longer accommodate the places where that person's wheels, for sake of this example, do not jive with mine.
Yeah. And it takes us to what we spoke about earlier, because we're thinking that my love is supposed to be directed to that person. And I've wanted to love this person the way it fits me, instead of me learning how to love the wholeness of the person in front of me.
It's a manifestation of divine creation.
Exactly. And when you walk with sound, and when you lay down over there, and you start labeling the sound, I like this sound, I don't like this sound is too loud, too soft, and so keep accepting the sound the way it comes to you without commenting. Just receive it the way it is all the time. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Yes.
You stay present with it all the time, all the time, all the time. We'll say it again. Blurring the lines of where you start and the sound ends, or vice versa, that's the magic of this practice. Coming to a state of non-existence, of time-stopping ecstasy, just following the sound and allowing to whatever it is to be, that's the magic of this practice. And the same thing happens to many people that fall into a deep state of prayer back in the days.
Right.
But for them, it's the repetition of the prayer that helps them together.
Yes.
For example, you study a lot of Kabbalah. A lot of the things that they're doing in Kabbalah, they're teaching you what intention to put with what prayer.
Right. But then again, like all those things that you say, those things take time, correct? It takes time to go from your head to surrender.
For example, extremely opposed to this.
Well, in the beginning, it takes you away from the prayer, because in the beginning, it's very technical and it's very this. But like everything, it's something that once you've done it enough times, and enough times can be several years with some of these prayers, then at that point, it becomes second nature to the prayer, and then it elevates your prayer.
Okay.
But first, it creates a distance.
I
agree.
I give you an example.
Okay.
Right now, let's say you have your daughter, which was 3 years old. Like we mentioned, you're very eloquent. You cannot take right now your world of knowledge and give it to a 3 years old that needs understanding of something.
Right. And God knows I tried.
Yes. It's not going to work. No matter what you're going to do, it's not going to work.
Yes. Had to learn.
Because you try to shove this level of light to this level of vessel, and it's not going to work right now.
Right.
But you realize that the air vessel starts to expand when there is a repetition of a movement or repetition of a word. It's going to be okay, it's going to be okay. Just be in there. When you start to think of prayer in this setting, one of the strongest Hebrew mantras, for example, it's Eneni Ani.
Right.
And Eneni Ani, when you say it enough times, it sounds like because you're supposed to actually say it fast without intention. Just repeating the mantra until the mantra dissolves in your mouth and it just becomes to be a vibration. That's what almost every Vedic mantra does to us. And the way that we achieve that, you know why we get to that state of deep meditation?
Why?
Because of listening.
Because we're listening to our own voice and we become this small inner feeding loop. So we go into.
So what happens when you repeat the same thing over and over again, the same thing that you listen to sound, the frontal cortex get diminished. The amygdala actually shrinkage.
Like physically, like you've seen it in fMRIs, amazing.
You literally enter, for some reason, a deep state of trance because you trust in, you're able to relax more, you're not thinking, and you enter a state of trance just from repetition of a mantra. Basically, is that deep state of listening that takes you there. Prayers, for example, prayers, there were a reason why they were written. Some prayers, in many traditions, prayers come only in forms of songs.
Right.
In order to elevate the limbic nervous system. And from the limbic nervous system to access the rest of the rest of the mind. We, Jewish tradition, for example, we have to use our thinking mind in order to get to the heart, which is not the best way to get there. Singing is a much better way to get into the heart. But let's say this is what we have to use. If you have to use that, is the thinking mind is the best way to get over here? We all know that we tried it. It's not the best way.
Yes, hands down.
You know what was the reason for Jewish people to get into prayer?
What was the reason to get into prayer? No, but now when you were saying that, I haven't, because I know that in prayer we do have a lot of songs in Judaism, but maybe we spend more time studying than singing because for so many years we were in hiding.
Simple question. Why we invented prayer from the very beginning, do you know?
Why did we invent prayer from the very beginning? No?
To come together.
To come together.
They even came up with the understanding that in order to be able to utter a couple of prayers, couple of names, we have to have at least a minimum of 10 people.
We have to have the minimum of 10 people.
And then they tell you, Berov Amadrat Melech, as many as you, if you want to glorify God, come as many as you can. Because they understand the power of connection, the power of community, what it means when people are meeting heart to heart with shared intention, with shared beliefs, what it does to not only to your coherence between your heart and the mind, the coherence that happens in the community. Sound doesn't have the ability just to bridge your mind, your brain to the heart and your gut, that level of coherence. Sound has the ability to achieve coherence in a global aspect. If we all learn how to listen properly, listen to the sound of our hearts, that's striving for that level of connection, we have a different way to experience in life. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
When you think, what do you do?
You mean, what am I actually doing when I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Not thinking of other stuff except for the one thing I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
I think that's just now when I was thinking that's the only thing I can separate that state from the other state is by doing just that.
Let me ask you a simple question.
Okay.
When you're thinking, when you enter a deep state of contemplation, thinking of one of the other in order to achieve a conclusion.
Right.
Who is the one that achieving the conclusion?
Me or the thought is what you're asking, basically?
Where the conclusion is coming from?
I feel them from my inside, from my guts, from my heart, from this part of my body.
It's coming from you.
Yeah, I feel like, because I'm trying to imagine what you're saying now. So when I do get into this state of contemplation, then I feel like I'm thinking here and I manage to stay with one thing for a long amount of time. And then all of a sudden something wakes up in here.
Okay, so very simple. That means that the answer was inside of you.
Yes.
Agreed? If the answer was inside of you from the very beginning, why did you need to think?
Because I didn't know how to access it.
Okay. So let me ask you another question. When you were thinking,
yes,
that was the D's voice inside of your head, right?
Right.
Who's the one answering?
Still me.
Still you.
Yes.
So that means that you...
But my gut speaks in a choir.
Yeah. So that means you're talking to yourself, and then you're talking to yourself again, you're talking to yourself again, and you're talking to yourself again,
yes,
in order to draw a conclusion.
Yes. And if it's a very complicated thinking process, I also do it out loud, just so you know.
And the thing is, the more you do it out loud, the more they're looking for the next place to lock you in.
Right.
Because we're not allowed to think aloud in society, but we all do it together, all the time.
Right, that's
we're all
true.
Crazy. We're all talking to ourselves all the time, non-stop.
When you're in a conversation.
And the crazy thing, if you walk down the street right now and you see somebody that goes like this, you start feeling sorry for him. Maybe call the police. Maybe get somebody to help him.
Yes.
This person needs help. But for some reason, because this is not visual, we do it to ourselves all the time. Within
Right.
ourselves, this self-hitting, self-slapping. Because nobody taught us from the very beginning what the power of sound. The power of sound is the power of creation and the power of destruction. It has the power of blossoming, flowering, the power of glooming our inner existence.
Mm.
If I may suggest some people some tips how to start working with that,
100%.
because we cannot talk about psychedelics, we cannot talk about sound without talking about neuroplasticity.
Right.
Neuroplasticity is a real thing that happens within us. We used to think that we cannot teach a old dog new tricks, but I look at you and know that you're not a dog, and hopefully you don't think I'm a dog even. So
maybe we
some
can
people
learn
will say that
something.
about me. But us as human beings, we learn that we have something that it's called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is not given. Neuroplasticity, I have a good friend of mine named Kevin. He likes to call it neuroplasticity potential. One of the things that you take
Nice.
when
I
you
like
take
that. Collect
when you
that.
take when you take psychedelics, especially macrodose, you have the neuroplasticity, the same one of a 17 years old, which is extremely profound. It's really like you literally creating who you are as a teenager. When
Mhm.
after the age about 34, it becomes to be harder because our default mode network is pretty much set up. It doesn't mean it's impossible, it just means it requires a lot more attention and work. There's a lot of supplements that supporting type of neuroplasticity, creatine, L-theanine, some others. But let's say without doing anything. Neuroplasticity, we know work best in a state of relaxation, alpha brainwaves,
Right.
anywhere between 8 hertz to 12 hertz, kind of. This is more or less where it works the best. So 4 to 12. But 8, it's like the sweet spot.
Yes.
And that's where
7
that's where you want to work on when you're in this state of relaxation, to start working on yourself. And what does it mean working on yourself? We agree that you think with your words, right?
Right.
Words using either using Hebrew or English. That's how you think most part, right? Each one of you for the language that he thinks with.
Right.
We think with words. In order for this process that I'm suggesting right now to work on you, you have to start with a prerequisite. The prerequisite is that you have to accept 100% full responsibility that whatever happens within you, it's your responsibility. You cannot control what happens outside of you. I think you all tried it enough. You all agreed with that, and you all realize that no matter what you do, you cannot control what the world does, what the economy does, what the people around you does, not even what the dog does.
Yes.
So let go of that effort. Start putting the effort where it counts. You, knowing that you can control everything that happens within you. Maybe not right now, but with the right effort, it does. But the moment you even said that, you open a possibility of the victim mindset.
Right. So we have to make sure also that people
So
don't judge, don't think that because certain things are happening within them, then now they judge themselves as, oh, so I'm a bad person, so I'm a good person. It has nothing to do, because the thoughts come, it's
and
a
what
matter of conditioning.
and the process we're doing right now has to do with the right here, right now. Don't think about how I'm going to be 5 years from now. Just think about right here, right now.
Okay.
This with the process is happening all the time. The right here, right now, 100% of that capability to control what happened in my inner world is mine, regardless
Yes.
what happened to the moment before. Since you're thinking with words, this technique has five steps. The first one is the choice of words. If you want neuroplasticity potential to start happening, start adding words to your vocabulary that you're not really using, or new ones. If you find yourself talking to yourself and you send something harsh on yourself, or if, for example, you using curse words, you're not being attentive or compassionate or loving enough for yourself, notice that.
Yes.
And then when you catch yourself not talking to yourself nicely, you're literally going to reframe what you just said. You don't just tell yourself, oh, I catch myself do that, next time I'll try better. No. Reframe right here and right now. That's when you start creating the synapse for the neuroplasticity potential to start happening. The next thing that it's very important, and this for that we'll do a small exercise. Are you ready?
Okay.
Everybody that listens, try to do the same thing as well. Just close your eyes for a moment. And for that exercise, I would like you to use your inner eye, and your inner voice. You're not going to make any voices, just your inner voice or your inner eye. And visualize that about 30 feet away from you, there's someone standing, and the only thing that you can see, it's their backs. And you're going to use the word hello, Hello, to get their attention. And when you're going to call them, they're not going to turn around. They're still going to show their back to you. So call them the first time, hello, with the sound of your own voice. Now call them again, just a bit louder, and there's still no response. Call them again, even louder this time. Still no response. Maybe repeat it a few times. Choose the tone of your own voice to try to get their attention, and there's still no response. Now change their image with the image of a little child that you know from your life. Choose the tone of your voice and call them with the same words to get their attention. Okay. Open your eyes. So needless to say, there was nobody there physically.
Yes.
But we can change. There's some emotional manifestation that start happening with the creation of our own mind. Just using the tone of voice within ourselves, our emotions are changing. We change the image, somebody else showed up, the tone of voice changed automatically without even us intuitively feeling that's how the right way you should talk to them, we should address them.
Right. And I don't know if that was part of what you were intending with changing the person into a child, but immediately my voice became much softer, my calling, and I was already, because we'd risen in voice a few more times, like my hello went from hello, hello, hello to hello. And then all of a sudden it's a child and you're like, hello.
So you heard the expression, don't go up, it is a trap. You heard this expression before?
I have not, but I would go up.
So
Can you imagine if you're walking in the middle of the desert and you see this huge structure and the sign says don't go up, it's a trap? Would you not go up?
not go up, grow up.
Now you said don't go up, it's a trap, would be like.
So we remember what we talked about earlier, and we established that the idea of 43 years old knows more than 33, 23. Remember we talked about
Right.
it? That means that the 53 will know more, the 63 will know more, etc., etc. That means you're still in your growing process.
Amen.
You still have a lot to learn. The same way that you're not going to yell and be harsh to a child because they still don't know and they have a lot to learn. What makes you think that you're in a space in your life right now that you should know enough, and you allow yourself to yell at yourself and be harsh on yourself within,
Right.
without realizing that you're still raising that inner child all the time, that you're never going to be mature enough to be yelled at.
Oh, I like it.
And that's where the second part that comes. The first part we talked about was the choice of your own words and reframing them all the time. The second part will be the tone of the voice that you're using inside. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes we have to be harsh and direct with us in order to get things done.
Yes.
But for the majority of the time, when we want to teach ourselves and to go softer, when you talk softly to people, and with the right tone of voice, they will actually, you make them to come closer to you to listen even better.
Right.
And that's what we're doing inside. We teach ourselves how to talk to ourselves within, in a place that will open more receptivity and more capability and capacity to want to listen to what we have to say in that way. The third part will be the amplitude. If you're talking to yourself inside your head, there is no reason to raise your voice.
Right.
Not so ever. You're gonna hear it no matter what. So notice that the choice of words, the tonality, and the amplitude, they're all there.
Nice. For me, it has to do with people. Because when I want to chide myself on doing something, then there's a specific person that I hear their voice. It's my father, my mother, my brother. So one is used to like put me in place. The other one is used to tell me that I've got this and to strengthen me up. And that's always when I hear my brother's voice in my head being
And
like,
that's
"You can
exactly
do this."
takes me to the next point. We're thinking that these are our own voices inside, but how many voices we have inside? Our mother, our teachers, our friends, or this and that.
Yes.
So sometimes those voices will come. The next one will be the space. The space that you're creating within before you're responding. Because like you said, you're thinking, you're responding to yourself, thinking this. If you're too fast to answer, that means that your default mode network that answers. That means that you're react. You're just playing one of the same tools that you always did before. To respond, that means to have this moment that you give into yourself, that space, in order to have this ability. We talked about, my teacher likes to say, responsibility, that means your response ability. Your ability to respond.
I like that.
And if you create the space, we talked about Viktor Frankl earlier. One of his sentences from his book was, between stimuli and response, there is a space.
Right.
In our space is our freedom to choose.
Right.
That's our God-given gift, that level of freedom. Don't think about freedom to do whatever you want in your life. That's not true freedom. The freedom within yourself to choose how you think and how your perspective on life, that's your true freedom. If you're thinking that you got freedom when you came to this world, you have it all wrong. You can complain as much as you want, but you're going to get diseases because of your lineage. You're going to look like the certain you are because of your lineage. You never have freedom. It doesn't exist in this world. You were never born free. You will never born free. What you need to do is to break the shackles inside of your head, by the barrier, break out of the cage of that you're limiting yourself to be. So that freedom to respond means, what I'm going to do next, how I'm going to respond. And that's the fifth part. The fifth part, it's the space you're responding from. And if the space that you're responding from is based on something I like to call the 4 pillars of forgiveness, compassion, loving kindness, and gratitude, this is what feeds the intention of your response. Your inherent being will start helping you to expand the vessel that you're living with in order to receive the proper light that's supposed to be pouring in. So basically, the inner conversation that happens within you are either constricts your vessel or expands your vessel.
Yes.
To the level that you understand, the best prayer that you can achieve is to be in silence altogether. That no sound need to be uttered. Because that's what we are creating sound for. We're creating sound in order to achieve silence.
Right.
We're always looking for silence between.
Sound without to achieve silence within.
If you think about one of the highest goals that we have within our Judeo tradition was the concept of shalom, peace.
Right.
Shalom comes from a root word.
Right. Shalem.
Shalem.
Whole.
You know what shalem means?
Shalem means whole.
But what does it mean?
Let's see. Shin Lamed Mem. No, okay, I don't. Tell me.
If I'm going to give you right now.
Oh, you're asking me, do I know what wholeness means?
Let me ask you a question. Right now, let's say this cup is full all the way to the end.
Yes.
This fullness of the cup means that this cup is shalem. It's full.
Right. It means that it's full. It doesn't mean that it's whole. There's a difference between whole and full.
No, but what I'm trying to say, think about the term shalem.
Right.
Shalem, it means that nothing is missing.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
That's what shalem means. when you talk about shalom, we're thinking of the word shalom as peace, without understanding the origin of the word.
Right.
Shalom is a prerequisite in order to achieve what is that shalom was intended to achieve. We're looking to have peace within that existential body in order to feel shalom. Shalom, it's exactly the same as yoga. Yoga is striving into oneness.
Union.
Yog. That's what yog means.
Yes, union.
You know what the word
Oneness.
religion means?
What?
Religion comes from the root word religa, which is a Latin word meaning moving back into wholeness.
Oh, no, didn't know that.
All of those things that we're talking about are bringing you to that level of connectivity that making you one again.
Right.
Want to put you together, that nothing else is missing. And that's what the present moment can teach you. If you're fully present right now, if you're fully shalom right now, with deep state of forgiveness, compassion, loving kindness, and gratitude that just takes you to the next evolution of being complete in this given moment, you're blissful. The more you tap into that, the more you understand that nothing is broken. You understand that life was breaking me up until now in purpose. What is the sentence of Leonardo? There's a crack in everything that out the light
Oh,
gets
for
in.
Leonard Cohen, yes, that's how the light gets in.
That's why life was beating us all this time. In order for allow the light to get in. If you keep complaining about the past, instead of being grateful for the past, which is what, unfortunately, modern psychology is trying to teach us, how to complain about the past.
Right.
If you take the word triggers and change it to teachers, and allow them, how this teach me about
Instead of
more
this
forgiving.
triggers me, this teaches me.
How
Wow, I
this
like
teaches
that.
me how to be more forgiving. How this teaches me how to be more compassionate. How this
Or even, you know, even before you figured out what it teaches you, the moment you address something that we think of as a trigger, instead of saying to someone, oh, I don't want to see that person tonight because that person always triggers me, that person always teaches me. Even without figuring out what he teaches you, it already changes the entire energetical outlook of the moment.
Completely. And all of a sudden you start looking for triggers before you notice that, in order to get better with that.
Yes.
So what the thing that was holding you back then, this is the thing that became to be that exciting you. And nothing really changing the external reality, is just the way you decide to perceive the world with it, to perceive the world.
Right. So I want to summarize those 5 just for our listeners because we went deep into all of them, but it was when we talk to ourselves, notice the words.
The words and
reframing them, tonality, volume,
amplitude, yeah,
amplitude,
and then
space. That's true. Don't rush to answer yourself. The same as we do in the outside world. Also bring that rule into our inner communication.
And the place where we respond from, which is forgiveness, compassion, loving kindness, and gratitude.
Perfect. Those 4 pillars. Wow. Thank you so much, Shemesh.
Of course.
And before we end, I would like to ask you my new question that will be asked in all my interviews. When you come to approach a ceremony, to approach a guidance, even to approach a conversation with someone that is coming to you, what is your Shemesh secret sauce? What is your combination of approach? And it's okay if it's, if it changes from year to year or from week to week or from...
It's very simple. Not to project, not to mirror. I'm only here as a vessel of somebody that is walking the same path as everybody else. And whatever it's needed, I'm here to be at service.
Amen.
I have nothing to teach. All I have to do is to do my manly part of this world, which is to serve and to protect. Many times I work with women. When I work with women, I humble myself even more.
Because you're scared of us.
Of course. Because I also recognize the true power of creation that works on this planet. So this is the way that we actually have to work on yourself, have to work on yourself on when you step in the ceremony. Whatever you thought about yourself before you enter to facilitate for somebody else, start humbling yourself. And at the same time, bring yourself as somebody that broadcast a field of safety. Because if you humble yourself too much without broadcasting the field of safety, you're not doing the thing that you're supposed to be doing for that other person.
Right.
Which is, I'm going to a vulnerable space, I need somebody to watch the door for me. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But if you allow yourself the ego to be too much, making it about yourself, you're taking away from their experience.
Amazing.
It's the same way when you're dropping your kids off at school. You want to make sure that you're not being seen too much, but at the same time make sure that they're safe, especially if you drop them off in your pajamas.
Yes, that happens to me too. Thank you so much. It was such an honor to have you. And thank you for joining me on my journey.
Thank you. Appreciate that, and I'm so happy that you're doing this. I know that your voice needed to be heard already for many, many years, so I'm happy for this new path that you chose. Thank you.
Thank you so much.